Good morning NFI, it is Friday and this week we are talking about video games. Now as you might have noticed, I am what you could generally call an old, and not to be too hipster about it, because I'm too old for that, I have probably been playing video games longer than most of you have been alive. So I have this 32-year period of video games experiences, and so if we don't narrow down the topic a little bit more, it's hard to decide what particular aspect to talk about when it comes to video games. But it did occur to me that there has been one kind of ongoing consistent thought throughout the whole time, and that is I have always wanted to create my own games, and yet for some reason I kind of never quite do anything about it. I've been programming back since I was 9 or 10 years old, because in the early days of computers you kind of had to know at least a little bit of programming in order to even use the things. Back in those days you stored all your personal data on audio cassettes, and at some point in 2008, according to the file timestamps, I converted those tapes into digital audio files. And at some point the plan was to go through all those files and sort of organise them in some way, but I never quite got that far with that project. So this morning I decided to take a look at a few of them. There were a couple that I definitely remember making, and there were some others that I remember making but weren't there, so maybe I haven't digitised all my tapes. But there was a lot here I have no recollection of, and it's also not very good. There's a lot of just kind of putting random graphics effects together and sort of learning the capabilities of the Spectrum. I think this is supposed to be a bird. There's quite a few that just display text, kind of like a document. Like instead of writing a Word document, you wrote a bit of code that displayed lines of text on the screen. And I guess there was no word processor for the Spectrum that I ever had, so that was probably a good thing to do. There are many other instances of nonsense uses of text. Matty in this context is my little brother, and I did find this classic that was only labelled Boom Splat. There were a couple of things that were starting to edge a bit more towards actual interactive games, but they were barely more than basic concepts, and definitely not finished. But, in general, for a 10, 11-year-old, I guess that's not bad. And eventually I would go on to write some more sort of actual game-like stuff for DOS. When I hit the ages around sort of 16 to 18, that's when I created Bob, the avatar of mine that you've probably seen on Twitter or on Discord or other places around the web. The main character in many of my games from that era. And the problem is I still kind of fondly remember that era, even though it was only 2 or 3 years, and at this point quite a long time ago. And so of my big 32 years, I only spent 3 of them actually do anything about it. Since then there have been 3 or 4 attempts to kind of get back into it. I started writing a shoot 'em up thing in Java, started writing a browser-based sequel to Bob's Adventures. Most recently I started a prototype of a Match 3 type game, but all of these keep getting stalled and then forgotten and I move on. And I've also done a fair bit of modding of existing games as well. It's over all this time I've tried my hand at different little bits of it, but then nothing's ever stuck, despite my continuing desire to find something that within that sort of area. But at the moment, I am feeling that itch again. I kind of want to create a new game, although I might actually start by trying to finish that Match 3 thing. So why am I telling you the story? Mainly for some, kind of accountability from the universe. I am putting it out there that this is a thing that I want to do. Because it's been too long since I updated the games list on my website, which by the way you can go to and play some of my old games if you're interested. I'm pretty sure I've actually talked about a lot of this before on YouTube, but that's another consequence of being an old who's been doing YouTube for nearly 10 years now. I forget half the videos I've made already. But I will have a look through my back catalogue, and if I see anything relevant, I will add them to the end screen. To end with a quick bit of NFI business, we have just put up a whole whole new section of topics which will take us through to the end of the year. And now we just need people to sign up and say they're going to make a video for those topics. Whether you're new or whether you've been here for years, everybody's welcome. Just head on over to the website at nficollab.com, look through the list and sign up for anything you think you might be interested in. And also, if you want to join the Discord, leave a comment down below asking for an invite. And right, that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching, and Katrina, we'll see you on Monday.